Welcome if you've been for a long time, or if this is your first time here, or you are new here. Welcome to our service today for All Souls. I'm Louise Reeve, and I'm the May Worship Leader here at Newcastle on Time. As a quick reminder, we are live streaming the service today and recording it, but the camera is only pointing this way, and the only people who will appear will be people who are doing readings and leading worship, like myself. We are going to have candles of memory today, but what people say during that part of the service will not be included on the recording that goes on YouTube and Facebook. So with that housekeeping over, let us begin, as always, by saying aloud the values that unite our community here together at Newcastle on Time. As free thinkers, this is our statement of the values we hold in common as we journey together. We welcome all who seek the meaning of life and who believe that human spirituality is wider than any one tradition and deeper than any one set of opinions. With a respect for our Christian origins, we seek to explore truths from all sources. Our fellowship gives us strength and encouragement in daily living. And a quick introduction before I light our chalice. These are some opening words by the Reverend Kate Dean, a Unitarian minister from the south of England. The Old English word for Halloween is Samhain. In the rural communities of old, this was the time to celebrate the end of autumn and the gathering of the last harvest of nuts and berries. It was a time to take stock of the year gone by and plan for the winter ahead. Families would gather together around the supper table, where a place had been laid for anyone who had died during the year. It was a time to pay tribute to that person, remember their life and what had been learned from them. Families might bring items to show they were still appreciated and were tokens of the love that would endure. Remembering in this way keeps the family and generations connected. You can imagine how they might have felt the presence of that person with them as the talk continued and how they might wonder about what lies beyond. I hope that you too can look back at spring and summer that has been and reflect on the gifts that have come to us from loved ones and friends who have passed on. Let us keep the memories of them alive at this time. And now, let's begin as we always do by lighting our chalice. And these chalice lighting words were written by Brian, who's with us today. It is an honour to light our chalice. May this humble light strike out a spark into the darkest recesses of the cosmos. May it bring illumination into the gloom of humanity, those beings who are wrestling with dark nights of the soul. In the pitch black of battle and war, may the flame of sanity pierce the madness of conflict. May its glow shed light among the black shadows of graft, corruption, persecution, and the destruction of our earth. Let us pray that this shining beacon brings peace and love in its cheering flow. And we are going to have our first reading, which Jane is going to do for us. This is from the Wisdom of Solomon.
Reading from the Wisdom of Solomon. But the souls of the righteous are in the hands of God, and there shall no torment touch them. In the eyes of the unwise they seemed to die, and their departure was taken for misery. And their going from us to be utter destruction, but they are at peace. For though they may be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. And having been chastised a little, they will be greatly rewarded, for God proved them and found them worthy for himself. As gold in the furnace has he tried them, and received them as a burnt offering. And in the time of their visitation they shall shine, and run to and fro like sparks among the stubble. They shall judge the nations, and have dominion over the people, and their Lord shall reign forever. They that put trust in him shall understand the truth, and such as be faithful shall abide with him. For grace and mercy is to his saints, and he hath care for his elect.
We'll soon hear a little bit more about All Souls and its place in the traditional calendar. As Unitarians, we are an interesting group because we do not really tend to have very set religious holidays other than the obvious ones of Easter and Christmas. People think sometimes that Unitarians don't celebrate Christmas. We do, and we'll be doing that soon. But I like to think it is good to look at what our ancestors celebrated throughout the year and the ways in which they mark different points in the calendar. And obviously one of the great traditions we draw from here is Christianity. Some of us call ourselves Christian, some do not, some are merely curious. There's not really anything mere about curiosity. But I think it is good to look back sometimes at what our forebears wrote from one of the oldest religious texts. So we've heard a little of the wisdom of Solomon, and after we sing our first hymn, we will be hearing a bit more about All Souls itself, because it's not as well known as either Halloween or indeed the festival that's slightly eclipsed All Hallows Eve.
What is All Souls Day? Often overshadowed by Halloween, October the 31st, and All Saints' Day, November the 1st, All Souls Day is a solemn feast in the Roman Catholic Church, commemorating all of those who have died. In Western Christianity, this day is observed principally in the Catholic Church, although some churches, the Anglican Communion and the Old Catholic Church, is also celebrated. There are many customs associated with All Souls Day, and these vary greatly from culture to culture. In Mexico, they celebrate All Souls Day as El Día de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead. Customs include going to a graveyard to have a picnic, eating skull-shaped candy, and leaving food out for dead relatives. The practice of leaving food out for dead relatives is interesting, but not exactly Catholic theology. If all of this seems to us to be a little morbid, let us remember that all cultures deal with death in different manners. The Western aversion to anything related to death is not present in other cultures. In the Philippines, they celebrate Memorial Day based loosely on All Souls Day. Customs include praying novenas for the holy souls and ornately decorating relatives' graves. On the eve of All Souls, i.e. the evening of All Saints' Day, partiers go door to door requesting gifts and singing a traditional verse representing the liberation of holy souls from purgatory. In Hungary, the day is known as Halotak Napja, the Day of the Dead, and a common custom is inviting orphans into the family and giving them food, clothes and toys. In rural Poland, a legend developed that at midnight on All Souls Day, a great light shone on the local parish. This light was said to be the holy souls of departed parishioners gathered to pray for their release from purgatory at the altars of their former earthly parishes. After this, the souls were said to return to scenes from their earthly life and work, visiting homes and other places. As a sign of welcome, Poles leave their windows and doors ajar on the night of All Souls Day. All of these customs show the wide variety of traditions related to All Souls Day.
Thank you. Part of this time of year is to link to what has gone as we look at what lies ahead. But this is our time to pause and remember and be still, as we said to use. Speaking of links to what has gone past, some of you might have spotted that we have a very gigantic book, which I hauled out with only a certain amount of staggering from the store cupboard behind me. This is our Robinson book, and it is where we have written the names of members and friends of this church over the years. It's there now, if anyone does want to look at it at any point after the service, please do. But now we're going to have a prayer followed by our next hymn, and then after that next hymn we will have a few moments of silent prayer, followed by a musical interlude. But first, let us pray, with this prayer for all souls by the Reverend Rob Whiteman. At this darkening time of the year, our thoughts turn to things past, to life retreating, to those who have died. Images come to our minds of dear companions who once graced our lives, loved ones who we miss, persons whose lives made an impact on our lives, of all those who were here contributing, caring, and are now gone. Our memories bring both joy and sadness. Let us not push these feelings away. For our recollections attest to the enduring importance of these friends, this love and our memories. May these brave and lovely spirits live again in our tender thoughts, and prove that death and distance are powerless to sever the bonds that truly connect loving hearts. Spirit of life, divine unity, God, God without, God within, in a truth, though you who are known by many names, who we know best in our own loving and being loved, hold us as we remember those we've loved and those who've loved us. May our gratitude sparkle in our lives. May our tears lubricate our souls. Help us to know that we are not alone in our grieving, and help us also to come to that peaceful place in which we can take what we've learned from those who have died into our own lives. Remind us that we too are mortal, and that the only enduring legacy we leave is the love that shines through our lives. May it be so. Amen. Now, whilst our order of service does suggest we'll sing next, I think I'd actually like to have a little of the address I'm going to share with you. This was written by the Reverend Rob Whiteman, who was once a minister here briefly whilst he was studying to become a minister. He was a student minister. He shared this with me, and I would like to share it with you. Samhain is a Gaelic word meaning end of the summer. In ancient Celtic calendar, Samhain marked the end of the harvest, the end of the lighter half of the year, and the beginning of the darker half. It was also a festival of remembering the dead, because the Gaels believed that the border between this world and the next world was thin at this time. It is believed that Samhain was actually the beginning of the Celtic year. So why was this dark time seen as the beginning of a new year? This time when everything is going dormant, when darkness has taken hold of the northern hemisphere of the earth. Think of the beginning of life. A seed planted deep in the safe darkness of the earth, a child beginning to form in the darkness of the womb. It is in the darkness that life begins. If it were not for the darkness, a time for slow and gentle development away from the activities of the world outside, there would be no new life. And as life comes from darkness, so to darkness life must return. It is more difficult to accept this return to darkness than a new beginning, and for some who are agnostic about what happens to us after we die, it's hard to take comfort in this notion of the cyclical nature of the world. Samhain, or All Souls' Day, is a time to remember our loved ones who have died and to celebrate their love that remains with us. Remembering our beloved departed, talking about them among family and in our beloved community is an important thing to do. Trying to ignore the inevitability of death, the fact of it, does no one any favours. We need to both mourn and to celebrate our loved ones who have gone on before us. The Gaels believed that the border between this world and the other world became thin on Sunday. It allowed the dead to reach back through the veil that separated them from the living. Thin places and times, sometimes called liminal spaces, are where those with a perceptive disposition can sometimes come to a closer experience of the sacred, of the mysterious and spiritual aspects of our universe. And so we come to this, our sacred space, at this time of the year, and we recall those of our loved ones who have gone before us. We remember them with love and affection, knowing that their love for us is in no way diminished because they are no longer here with us. We celebrate the undying and eternal strength of the human spirit. It's because of this strength that death does not claim ultimate victory over humanity. The dead are never truly lost to us, but live on through the beauty of their memory and spirit. The character of those who have died hammers through the pain until innocence breaks through. The daisy flower, pure and childlike, pushes stubbornly through the hard earth of the grave to rise defiantly and bloom. I will pause here, but I will share a memory. I have been in Prague recently, it is why I was not here last Sunday, and that was for a gathering of Unitarians from across the world, 10 countries. It's my hope I'll at some point do a service based on that. I promise you that you can hope for that too, because I shall make it as interesting and stimulating as possible. We may or may not get somebody in to illustrate the service whilst it's happening, or perhaps we'll do some playing with Lego, or we'll sing in a choir. I'll think of something. But I'm thinking of that because a symbol of the Prague Unitarians is the sunflower. I'd like to link back a little bit here. We've mentioned spring and summer. Summer's traditional festival for Unitarians is the Flower Communion. And the Flower Communion was created by a Czech minister, the Reverend Norbert Čapek, towards the start of the last century. Having been a Baptist, he became a Unitarian, and his congregation drew in spiritual seekers from many different churches who had sought a new home. He needed a service that could unite his very diverse congregation. The traditional communion service was difficult for some members because it had different meanings, and some members who had come to them were Jewish, and for them it did not hold the same meaning. So he tried to think about what could unite his congregation, and from that was born the Flower Communion, in which each member of the congregation either brings or is given a flower to bring to the altar and takes one away at the end. We celebrate that each year, but I'm thinking of it particularly now. Those of us who know the story of Norbert Čapek, or who are familiar with the events of the last century, know that he was a religious martyr. He died in a Nazi concentration camp, having been imprisoned there. It was said for listening to the BBC, one suspects there were other reasons as well. But his gift lives on in the form of the Flower Communion. And I mentioned pushing through because the symbol of the Prague Unitarians is two sunflowers. And the sunflowers are of different heights. Each is of a different height to symbolise the diversity of all those within the walls. And each of them grows towards the sun in their own way. So as the daisy pushes through the earth, so the sunflower rises to the sun. And whilst the seeds of both lie dormant now, we know that their time will come again next year. Rob Brightman goes on to reflect a bit on his own ministry, saying that for those who minister in a Unitarian context, offering care to those who are dying or bereaved can be one of the hardest things we do. I am very new to this, but have discussed it with many others, he says. In our extremely diverse, questioning and occasionally agnostic communities, we can rarely offer any comforting certainties about what may or may not lie ahead. Perhaps no one can. In a more orthodox Christian context, there are the comforting images. Safe in the arms of Jesus, I know that my Redeemer lives, therefore I too shall live. And flights of angels sing thee to thy rest. These may of course be understood in a variety of different ways, from the metaphorical to the literal, by a variety of people of many different faiths and for a variety of Christian backgrounds. But they are not words that we might use to comfort those to whom we minister. More and more, death seems to have become a taboo subject, and this is me speaking now. It's interesting, I find, I was listening earlier as Izzy read about the different traditions people have for remembering the dead. Many of us now are famous with Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, and I wonder if anyone other than me has seen the film Coco by Pixar. It's a beautiful, for those who have not, it's a beautiful film about a young boy whose dream is to become a musician, but whose family has banned music after his grandfather went off to be a musician and has vanished. Through a series of different supernatural occurrences, he finds himself in the land of the dead and must find a way to return to his family. I know a few people who thought it was a little bit morbid, but I also know many other people who thought that actually it was very realistic, in the same way that the great Disney films are often very challenging. Everybody cried when Bambi's mum died. Miguel, the little boy, is struggling a little, but not only because not only has his grandfather vanished, his beloved grandmother Coco is losing her memory, and it's obvious to the family that she won't be with them much longer. And the film is very positive about the fact that it is going to happen, but that everybody will remember the people who have passed over. And many of us thought that was actually a very good thing for a children's film, because children in the real world do have to deal with their elderly relatives getting sick and leaving them. And I think, as Rob is saying here, as Unitarians, each of us tends to come to our own conclusion about what we believe in. And you might wonder why we are here, because after all we could all do that sitting at home. But I believe it's through gathering in community that we explore what we have together, but also because, and this is my personal belief, the answer to the question why are we here is we are here for each other. Only through gathering together and loving each other as human beings can we come to truly understand both the spiritual aspect of our lives and comfort ourselves through some of our darker times. As Rob comments, certainly it's not something we can avoid. About life after death, the late American Unitarian minister Forrest Church was agnostic. He writes, "After death, our bodies may be resurrected. Perhaps our souls may be transmigrate or become part of the divine being. We may join our loved ones in heaven, or we may return the constituent parts of our beings to the earth from which it came and then rest in eternal peace. About life after death, no one knows. Certainly no one has ever returned. But about this we surely know, there is love after death. Not only do our finest actions invest life with meaning and purpose, but they also live on after us. 2 centuries from now, the last tracings of our being will yet express themselves in little works of love that follow bead by bead, in a luminous chain extending from our dear ones out into their world and then on into the next." Death can be very difficult to speak about, and there are so many different circumstances of death, some of which are much harder to face than others. The death of a child or young person dying before their time, multiple deaths due to natural catastrophe, accident, stupidity or malice. And as my previous mention of sunflowers may have caused something to think of, we aren't short of conflict in this world of ours at this moment. Death isn't easy, our own death or the death of those we love, but without death our lives would have little meaning. Approaching death determined to give and receive as much love and joy as possible can allow sorrow to be tempered by the experience of a profound meeting between souls. Some thoughts shared with you on All Souls Day and this time of the year and the importance of remembrance. I have a poem to share. This is a poem by Rabindranath Tagore, one of a series written during his final illness. I have not faith in my works. I know time's ocean, its lashing of waves day by day will erase them. My faith is in myself. The whole day I fill my cup and drink the perpetual nectar of this world. Every moment's love has been saved in it. The weight of pain has not torn, and dust has not blackened its art. I know when I go from the play of this life, the forests of flower every season will witness, I have loved the world. Only this love is real, gift of my birth. When I say farewell, this undecaying truth will cancel death. And as we prepare to go forth, welcome to join us afterwards for some refreshments. But let us go forth with these closing words. The poet Mary Oliver wrote, "To live in this world you must be able to do 3 things. To love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends upon it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go. And now in our going, may divine love bless and keep us. May love's light shine upon us and out from within us, and be gracious unto us, and bring us peace. For this is the day we're given. Let us rejoice and be glad."